I guess her affair was more important than our marriage. Surely she must have known that if I found out, our marriage would be over. But she did care. So I did something to end it nicely. Okay, let's go on to the story. My name is Jim Burks, and I am 33 years old. I stand 6 feet tall and weigh about 190. Not fat, but I could stand to lose a few pounds. Too many cheeseburgers and pizza for lunch. If you ask my wife, she would say it is the beer that I love to drink. I've got sandy hair and always considered myself fairly good looking. I had several girlfriends in college. All that came to a stop when I met my future wife while a junior in college. We dated exclusively until I popped a question, and 6 months later she became Mrs. Jim Burks. My lovely wife's name is Carol and she is the same age as me, 33. She stands 5 feet 6 inches and weighs about 120 pounds. I think she's stunning and had several suitors in college and was never short of male attention. She lights up the room instantly and radiates energy. Her bubbly personality is admired by everyone. I thought we were the perfect match. We enjoy our time together, however. The only problem is we don't see each other enough to get all the time we need. I am a systems analyst for a large IT company, while Carol is a registered nurse on the orthopedic ward of a large hospital in Dallas. I typically work in 8 hours, 5-day, although some days I have to stay late. If working on an either difficult or time-related problem. Because of our work hours, we really only see each other at the weekends. When Carol works the day shift, we see each other at night, but she is always so exhausted that she is in bed by 9, which is shortly after arriving home. We try to make up for our lack of sex on the weekend. We often discuss fantasies and both agree that fantasies needed to be just that. A fantasy, Carol, was all I needed, and she assured me that I was the love of her life. I have no time for cheaters, and she knows my feelings on infidelity. Simply, I would not tolerate it. Carol works for 12-hour days a week, Monday through Thursday, and alternate shifts every 4 weeks. This shift is usually 7 to 7, either during the day or overnight. There is also a turnover period which, since she started in orthopedics, takes about an hour. So with a drive home, she usually comes in around 8:30, both morning and night. I have asked for the past 2 years for her to get a day job, but she likes what she does and didn't want to change jobs. So we just put up with her unsociable hours. When we first got married, we had both had student loans and agreed they should be paid before starting a family. When the loans were repaid, we then decided to put off having children until we were fairly comfortably settled into a nice home and neighborhood. 2 years ago, we reached that goal and agreed the time was right for Carol to get pregnant. Except she didn't. Today was Monday and I left work early thinking I was coming down with a flu. I texted my wife to tell her I was going home sick and she replied to take some flu meds. I asked her what meds and where could I find them. She replied to Miflu, and it was in a container of meds in the second drawer under her vanity unit in her bathroom. I just texted back, okay, and went home. Upon arriving at home, I went into her master bath to look for her meds and found something else instead. I searched the drawer she indicated and found nothing that said to Miflu. I opened the top drawer and in the back I found the flu meds and also found a foil pack of contraceptive pills. She had already taken the one marked for today. I was totally shell-shocked. She promised me that she had gone off the pill well over 2 years ago. We had been trying without luck to have a baby for the past 2 years. My wife just said we were unlucky with our work schedules and sooner or later, our timetables would coincide with her fertile period. This past spring, I decided enough was enough, and we were both tested. After numerous tests, our doctor declared there was nothing wrong with either of us. I stared at the foil pack of pills and wonder if it is just an old package, but realized the days the pills had been popped corresponded to the month and the correct bowl for today had already been popped out. Today was Monday. The 17th and 17 pills have been popped, including today. The expiration date was 3 years in the future, so they must have been refilled recently. Simultaneously, I run several different scenarios through my mind. Did Carol really want a family? Was she having some type of clandestine affair? Was there a health issue with her I wasn't aware of? Why had she been lying to me? Our bodies weren't getting any younger, and the longer we put off having a family, the harder it would be. How would I approach her? I took the Tamiflu and disappeared to bed. The next thing I know, Carol is shaking me awake, asking how I was feeling and if I needed anything. I'm feeling better. And no, I don't need anything. I was really actually feeling hurt that she wasn't sharing something with me but didn't say anything. I watched her as she obviously thought I had passed out again and dressed to take a shower, and I thought that parts of her body looked red. Suddenly, I understood she must be having an affair after the turnover before coming home. When she worked on a different ward, the turnover only took less than 10 minutes. Why should it now take an hour? She didn't close the bathroom door, and I moved over to where I could watch her reflection in a full-length mirror in the bathroom. I thought she spent an ungodly amount of time to get clean her. Was this usual? I had no clue, as I had actually never watched her before. Carol had undressed in our bedroom and her clothes lay where she dropped them. I picked up her panties and yes, they were still damp. I returned her panties underneath her scrubs and got back in bed. Update: I was angry beyond words. To that point in my life, I thought everything was perfect. Now I wasn't so sure around me. Carol acted like the perfect wife. However, I realized there must be a side I wasn't aware of. I needed more information. She returned to the bedroom from her shower and got in bed with me. I was never in bed at this time of the night. Carol didn't even make an effort to hold or comfort me, but stayed on her side. She was long gone before I got up the next morning. I called in sick, claiming I had the flu. I had a ton of sick leave and needed time off to figure out what to do. One of my best friends from college had become a lawyer, so I called him, asking for advice. I soon found out that Texas is a non-fault state, and since we didn't have children, we only had to split our belongings 50-50. The biggest thing was our house, which had accumulated some equity which would have to be sold and the proceeds split. My friend did agree to represent me if I decide to file. He assured me it was a slam dunk. That evening at 7, I was parked near Carol's car to follow her. We both have an iPhone and I checked her location with my Find a Phone app and decided she was still in the orthopedic ward. After 10 minutes, I could tell she was on the move. So I phoned orthopedics asking to talk to her, but was advised her shift was over and she had left for the day. I realized she had been lying to me about the turnover period, which really did only take 10 minutes or less. I continued to watch the app on my phone and realized the blue dot had stopped in an area I was not familiar with, but still within the hospital complex. I got out of my car and decided to locate her phone. This is not as easy as it sounds. I found the location, but not the right floor. Finally, after at least 30 minutes, I found myself outside one of the rooms used by doctors for rest periods. When they work long shifts, I could hear noises of lovemaking inside. I needed to hide so I could see who exited the room and managed to find an open janitor's closet about 50 feet away. About 20 minutes later, Carol came out of the room and walked toward the parking garage. A few minutes later, a man came out and while he was locking the door, I approached him and asked directions which he graciously provided. He was several inches taller than me and looked like a Greek god. I looked at his name badge and got his name, Dr. David Baker. I needed a plan. I called my boss at home and explained that yes, I had the flu, but an urgent personal family problem had come up and I needed to take some personal time to deal with it. He understood as he had been caught up himself in a nasty divorce the year before. He said, "Take all the time I needed, but keep him informed so he could cover." I then called my friend the lawyer Bruce and told him I wanted Carol served as she left the best after sex on Thursday night. He said he could arrange it and asked if he could help with anything else. I didn't know what else I needed to do, so he suggested splitting our money and canceling the credit cards. Did I have any plans once I left her? Did I have a place to go? I was trying to deal with things as they arose, and I admitted I hadn't thought that far. He told me to come to his office the first thing the next morning. Bruce had done this several times, and he had a checklist of things for me to do. He even had a list of hotels with reasonable weekly rates. I had several things to do, starting with contacting a moving firm to schedule a small pack out the next morning. I had planned to just put my things in storage until I could sort out a more permanent place to live. The next stop was the bank where I withdrew 50% from all of our accounts and canceled our credit cards. I re-established accounts in my name only and ordered new credit cards. Then I called and canceled her cell phone effective at midnight after being served. That evening, I was in my computer room saving files that I might need in the next few weeks. When Carol arrived home spot on time at 8:30, we exchanged greetings. Then she went to shower and go to bed. I also got in bed early. Well, early for me as I had a busy day ahead of me. Carol never acknowledged me getting into bed. I had totally missed how cold she had become. The next morning, Carol was out of the house early and the movers arrived promptly at 8. I had a list of things to take with me and had post-its on everything to be packed. I had my car packed with suitcases and computer equipment that I would need for work when the movers finished at noon. I went out and bought a single black rose because it symbolizes death and passing away also indicates a major change or upheaval in the future in that sense. The black rose also means the death of old habits and the old order. In this case, it meant the death of our marriage. I placed it in the center of our kitchen table and wrote a short note. Carol, if you remember, on Monday, I called to tell you I was sick and going home. You told me to take Tamiflu and where to find it. However, it wasn't in your second vanity drawer. It was in the top drawer next to your birth control pills. Suddenly, several pieces of a large puzzle just came together. You weren't even trying to have a baby because you have been having a 2-year affair with a doctor at work. I guess your affair with Dr. David Baker was more important than our marriage and realized this has been ongoing on since you were transferred to orthopedics. So many lies. How could you? I thought we had a great marriage and trusted each other completely. I thought you loved me. And now you have broken my heart. Surely you must have known that when, not if I found out, our marriage would be over. Guess what? Texas is a no-fault state. So I don't need evidence of your infidelity, which, incidentally, would have been very easy to obtain. I have split our accounts and taken what things I want from the house. Have you discovered your cell phone and credit cards may not work, by the way? Find a place to move as Elle will list the house in 60 days and anything left in sight will go to Goodwill. You are now free to do whatever you want. I bet the best is married and has a family, doesn't he? You must realize his wife will find out. What will the hospital say? Do you remember me saying I will not tolerate infidelity? I am just preparing you for what might happen down the road. No longer your husband, Jim. Here is my wedding band. I no longer have a use for it. So I left the paper with the ring and rose on top of the table and left the house. Final update. I checked into one of the weekly rate hotels and waited. Carol was served by an off-duty sheriff's deputy who worked for Frank during his off-duty time. His specialty was serving. Apparently, she became hysterical and fainted. The doctor had to come out of his room in his underwear to attend to her. She called about an hour later, angry and wanting to know why I was serving her with a divorce action. I asked why she would even ask such a stupid question. I told her she had been cheating on me since going to orthopedics, which had been over 2 years ago. She asked when I discovered her affair, and I told her this past Monday when I was looking for Tamiflu. I found her birth control pills. I heard her sigh over the phone. After that, it was easy to figure it all out. I disconnected the phone call. Apparently, she had not read my letter. I didn't get much sleep but decided to go into work the next day. I found a mountain of work that had been piling up. I had nowhere to go or nobody to go home to. So I started working 16-hour days, 7 days a week.